Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to today's Lightspeed webinar. Excited to kick off 2024 with our first webinar, which we're going to talk about the Lightspeed Mobile App. And I think it's one of those that, a lot of people know about it. Maybe they don't know all the details, and it's certainly an exciting function that we have within the Lightspeed DMS. So it's going to be fun to showcase kind of some of the functionality that we have there. And I know many of you have been regular attendees at our webinars, but just a reminder, like anytime today throughout the webinar, if you have questions, please go ahead and just type those into the Q&A. We're going to answer those as we can throughout the webinar. And then as time permits at the end, we'll also address some of those questions, live during the webinar. Anything we don't get to, we'll follow up with an email. And the other thing that we're adding in 2024 is next Wednesday, we'll also have a technical Lightspeed mobile app webinar. So we can dig even deeper into any of those Q&As that you might have that have just more specific questions about how you use it, maybe install questions you might have. So it's an exciting new feature that we're going to be doing in 2024 is the intros and the technical webinars. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our presenter today, to Brian Tierney.
Thank you, Diana, and thanks for joining us, folks. Those of you that have been to our Wednesday webinars before may remember me. My name is Brian Tierney. I'm the Customer Development Manager here at Lightspeed and have been working with Lightspeed for a little over 12 years, just about 13 years, in various capacities in various departments within the company. My experience before working from Lightspeed, I worked at a dealership here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I'm talking to you from for 16 years in various departments and have been using Lightspeed now for just about 30 years. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a part of the Wednesday webinars. So today we're going to talk about the mobile application and really how it works. And we're going to look at how it reflects the experience in Lightspeed, how it can create some efficiencies in your business, how it really increases the customer satisfaction in your business as you work with your customers and work with staff members in your business. The things we're going to focus on today in the webinar are mobile application in terms of what is it, how does it work, what does it look like, how do I get it, those kinds of things. We're going to talk about parts, service, and sales department functionality, as well as rental and accounting department functionality, from inventory management to point of sale to CRM, and a little bit of reporting as it relates to those different functions in the mobile application. We'll also compare and contrast the desktop version of Lightspeed with the mobile app, so it'll offer some context into what that experience looks like. And then following the webinar, we'll take some questions from the group and try to provide some answers and some context to that. But as Diane had mentioned, if you have questions throughout the webinar, certainly send those through to our panel that's available to answer those questions live as we go through the presentation. Well, let's start on the parts department side, and we're going to start really just by introducing the mobile application to begin with before we jump into parts. What is the mobile application? How does it work? Where do I get it? Well, the mobile application works in mobile devices, cell phones and tablets. You can access it by downloading it from the Google Play Store or from the Apple App Store. It does require a couple of things. You're going to need access to your server, which can be provided by your implementation person here at Lightspeed, or somebody in support can help you with that. Or if you've got experienced folks in your admin department in your business, they can help you with setting up your mobile application. But certainly reach out to support, and we'll offer some more context into that in next week's follow-up as well. As far as access to the mobile application, your permissions that give you access to the mobile application are the same permissions that give you access to the desktop application. So for example, if I have access to parts in the desktop version of Lightspeed, I will also have access to parts on the mobile app. Same with sales, same with rental, same with daily operating control. So your permissions in the desktop dictate what access you have to the mobile application, and you can control what access a user has to the mobile app by those permissions. One other thing I'll mention is the mobile application does require a login. So your same login credentials that log you into the desktop version of Lightspeed will also log you into the mobile application. So just some things to be aware of as you're thinking about using the mobile app and how that might correlate to your business and to your staff members. We're going to start in the parts side, and we're going to talk about parts inventory functionality as it lives in the mobile application. We're also going to show you how you can use your mobile application to do a physical inventory count. We'll give you a little bit of an introduction to what that looks like. Now, one thing that I will preface, whether it's parts, whether it's service, sales, rental, CRM, any of the functions that we're going to talk about with regard to the mobile application, we won't go into a ton of detail about those functions on the desktop. We've got some webinars in our library of webinars on our website that you can refer to if you want more information about parts department, service, sales, or CRM related functionality. We've got some webinars available if you want more context to those. The focus really primarily for this webinar is to talk about the mobile experience in those different departments. So we're going to talk at a very high level on the desktop, but we will speak to the mobile experience. So without further ado, I'm going to pull up Lightspeed first, and we're going to start there. And I want to then pull up the mobile application and show you what this looks like with regard to parts. So I've just pulled up a Lightspeed mobile application. This is the Android version. The Apple version looks very much the same, works in both environments, cell phones or tablets, and it gives you access to a number of functions in your Lightspeed database from your phone, letting you be mobile, letting you move away from your computer so that you don't have to be tied to your computer to access things like your customer library, phone numbers, email addresses, names, physical addresses, all visible from the mobile app. Making appointments, making sure that you're texting and following up with your customers, emailing, deliveries, pickups, anything that you need to do in terms of CRM related or managing your appointment schedules are available in the mobile application. Parts department functionalities, from looking up parts to being able to do a physical inventory count, service access, so technician, repair order access, sales deals and unit inventory, accounting reporting, daily operating control report, and access to your rental department through reservations. But as promised, we're going to start in parts. And we're going to talk about a physical inventory count first. So those of you that are just coming off of December, just coming off of maybe your annual physical inventory count, or for those of you that you do your rotating counts throughout the year, you may be aware that you can use the mobile application to coincide with that process. And if I press my scan inventory button on the mobile application, it'll take me to the ability to scan parts, barcodes on products that are on my showroom floor, on the parts counter, in the back room. I can scan those parts, enter quantities, add that to the cache of memory in my mobile application, and then when I'm ready, I can download that information directly to the Lightspeed desktop inventory updating function and scanned inventory screen, where my mobile application will communicate what I've scanned into this screen, where I can verify details, verify the counts, and when I'm ready to update inventory, I press the Update Inventory button on the top right corner of the screen, and it makes everything that I've counted true. It makes it very easy to do a physical inventory count, a lot easier than the old number 2 pencil and clipboard that I remember using back when I was in the dealership. Now, a couple of other things that you can do is you can access parts inventory from the mobile application. And if I wanted to check stock on a part, I just want to see if I've got this part in stock. Maybe I work in the parts department, maybe I work in the service department, and I just want to check stock on a part. I can go back to the mobile application, press part lookup, enter some details, maybe the part number, maybe a description because I forgot the part number, maybe a supplier code. I can search for that item in the list that comes up based on my search criteria, click on the item, see how many of that part I've got in stock. What's my available count? When was the last time we sold it? When was the last time we received it? And that information will coincide with the information that's found on the desktop so that I can manage inventory, check stock, and make sure I have the right product for my parts customers. Or if I'm working in service, perhaps I want to see that as well. So that's kind of just a quick introduction to parts related functionality in the mobile application. Let's scoot over to another department in Lightspeed that also has some really powerful mobile application functionality, and that's the service department. We're going to go through a little bit of a service check-in. How do I build a repair order? How do I build an estimate? How do I manage that customer expectation using the mobile application? And how does that coincide with repair orders that exist in Lightspeed? And then we're also going to talk about technician access. How does a technician use the mobile application to interact with the repair order, service writers, and potentially with customers? Let's take a look at that together. So I'm going to pull up Lightspeed once more time. I'm going to go into service and I'm going to select estimates and repair orders. And this is going to take us into a repair order that we're going to use as kind of our test bed of sorts to build a repair order using the mobile application, go through the different features and functions in the mobile app as it relates to this repair order. So we've got a repair order already open on the screen, and without going into all of the details about how this repair order got here on the desktop, let's see how it got here if we use a mobile application. So I'm going to pull up the Lightspeed mobile application one more time. And we're going to imagine our customer has just pulled up to the parking lot. It's got a trailer with a couple of vehicles on the back of that trailer. And to expedite the process for the customer, I grab my cell phone, I head out the door to greet the customer in the parking lot. And in the process, I press the repair orders button on the mobile application. And that takes me into a list of all the open repair orders that currently live in Lightspeed. It's the very same list that we can see from the desktop. It's just scaled down a little bit to fit the phone. and I press that new check-in button at the top of the mobile application. And at this point, I've got a couple of options. If I know the customer's name or their phone number, or we're having a conversation with that customer, I can grab that information and type it with my thumbs or my fingers into the customer information portion of the mobile app, or press the scan button, scan the barcode in the back of the customer's ID or driver's license, and it's going to pull their name and address into the estimated repair order that I'm building on my cell phone or my tablet. So it makes it real easy to grab customer information in that manner as well. Grab some vehicle information, so maybe the year, make, and model and VIN number, or whatever information I have about the vehicle that's being serviced, and press the plus button next to the unit tab, where I can then add some job information. I can create a brand new job. And the other thing that's kind of cool about the mobile application, it's speech to text works. So if I click that create new job, I can simply talk into the phone and start to describe the job, even dollar values for that job. Or I can press the standard job lookup button, and it gives me access to a library of pre-built or canned jobs that I've already got in my library of pre-built jobs, pull that information into the repair order, and start to add additional jobs as we go. So again, I'm doing all of this from the parking lot. I'm getting my customer taken care of and getting them expedited and taken care of. I press new job and I start to add additional jobs if necessary. Or the next step is maybe I want to take some pictures of the vehicle as it's being dropped off, maybe a front, right, back, left, all the different sides of the vehicle, so that I can check the condition, maybe provide myself some security against being liable for pre-existing damage. Maybe there's some scratches or dents or dings that I don't want to be blamed for when the customer comes back to pick up their vehicle. I can use my camera in the mobile app to snap those pictures. Also, for warranty companies or insurance companies, we know those entities love pictures. So being able to capture those pictures at the beginning of the repair order just allows me to protect myself, communicate that information to the powers that be. And in doing so, those pictures land as attachments on the attachments portion of the repair order. So they're saved to the desktop, they're visible from the desktop, and they're also visible from the mobile application as well. Now, one question I often get regarding pictures is, if I'm taking pictures with the mobile app, do those save to my device and eat up a bunch of space on my mobile app? And I've got all these crazy pictures of tractors and motorcycles and boats that don't belong to me on my mobile app. Well, the answer is no. Those pictures do not save to your mobile device. They're saved to the cloud. They're saved to the Lightspeed server. So it's not eating up data or space on your mobile device. It opens that up for your personal use, but the pictures are also visible and accessible from the mobile application at any time. Next thing that many of you are probably already doing, whether we're talking desktop related experiences in service or the mobile experience, is if I want to produce a copy of the estimate, and not only produce it for the customer to review, but also I want to grab a signature from the customer. As we know, we can produce a copy of this estimate right from the service desk inside the business. I can send it to my printer. We can print it from the laser printer, or I can press e-signature and send a PDF copy of this to the customer via text or email, where they can review the document and even get an electronic signature in the process. Well, the neat thing about the mobile application is I can do the very same thing. So when it comes time to providing a copy of the estimate to the customer or getting a signature from that customer, I can press new, get a copy of that estimate right to my mobile device, send it to the customer via text or email. At that point, the customer can accept terms and conditions of the e-signature. And those of you that are not familiar with e-signature and Lightspeed, you've probably heard the term DocuSign. It's very similar to that. We're accepting terms and conditions of e-signature. They can then review the document in real time right out there in the parking lot or wherever you're at, getting the customer checked in. They can press sign with their finger, and download a copy of that estimate right to their device. So the beauty of all of that is I was able to get the customer checked in, get the vehicle pictures, get a signature from the customer, get the job information, get the customer expedited and taken care of, but also get my technicians lined up to do the work right from my cell phone, right from the parking lot or wherever I am. And I don't have to do that from the desktop of Lightspeed. Pretty cool stuff, in my opinion. So the next thing is, whether we're using our brand new service scheduler, which I encourage you to take a look at if you haven't seen this before, the service scheduler with calendar, if you're using the older version of the service scheduler, or you're just adding technicians to labor lines inside of repair orders. When technicians arrive to the business in the morning, or maybe at any point during the day, they open up their mobile application and they press the tech button, they're going to see all the jobs that they're assigned to work on for the day. They see repair order number, vehicle they're servicing, customer information, job descriptions, and there's the ability for them to clock into those jobs once they want to document that they've started working on them. Now, based on your permissions in your business, you could have technicians clock into one job at a time or multiple jobs. It's really up to you. But the beauty of the mobile app is a technician can access a job. They can see any parts that are sold to the job, any notes from prior technicians or service writers, pictures that have been taken, documentation that have been signed or not yet signed. All of that's visible from the technician side inside the mobile application. But not only that, as the technician starts working on those jobs and they start going through the process, maybe they want to document their story. Perhaps this is just to cover themselves or to provide information to service writers or managers, or maybe for insurance companies or warranty companies. The notes that the technician provides could be influential on how that repair order processes. Now, the beautiful thing about the notes portion, just like we've seen in adding jobs, is speech to text works for tech notes as well. And we know techs sometimes have dirty hands or they've got gloves on and they'd rather not use their thumbs to text. Well, they can press record and say things like bucket arm slightly misaligned, adjustment rod is bent, and so on and so forth. And that speech converts to text, shows up as a note inside the mobile application, but it also shows up as a note on the tech note side of the repair order. So text can communicate to service writers. It can be used to maybe communicate to warranty companies or insurance companies. But one thing that I will mention is tech notes do not show up on customer copies or warranty copies by default. You can copy those notes and place them as resolution or recommendations if you want to, but you don't have to. They're internal notes only. We know sometimes things are communicated by text that you'd rather let customers not see, so we protect you against that as well. So the next thing is, perhaps not only do I want to document from a text standpoint, document what I'm experiencing as a technician via verbal, I also want to take some pictures. So I can launch the camera in the mobile application from the job side and take pictures of what I'm working on. And those pictures land as attachments inside the job as well. So if I want to document things for warranty, for insurance companies, or maybe there's some brake pads that are in really bad shape and I want to tell Mr. or Mrs. Customer, you really should replace these brake pads, they're in bad shape. Sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So being able to communicate that picture to the customer via sending them a message, a text message or email from the repair order, we can communicate the condition of those items and also communicate to warranty insurance companies about what's going on with that job to expedite the process and do that virtually, electronically. And anything that we send out of the repair order, whether it's an email or a text message, and I'm using the send message button at the top of the repair order screen, there's a documentation of that communication. Emails and text messages are captured on the communications tab, including attachments like pictures or text files. All of that's captured on the communications tab, and it's also visible from the mobile app. So if we want to communicate to the customer, to insurance companies, warranty companies, we can do that from the mobile application as well via sending text or email there as well. One thing that I will remind folks is for those of you that don't want technicians to be texting or communicating to customers, you can provide or reduce permissions on that function. If you do want them to, or you want service writers or managers to be able to communicate via mobile app, they can press text or email from the mobile app, communicate to that customer. And in doing so, it's using business communication channels. It's not using your personal phone number to text nor your personal email address. So it's using business communication channels. So it maintains your privacy using the mobile application. And it also provides some consistency to the customer because they're getting communication from the same phone numbers or email addresses, whether it's desktop or mobile app. Pretty slick. So with that said, let's move into a little bit of a different experience in the mobile app. We're going to go to the sales side of the software, and we're going to start by talking about a funny term, major unit inventory. At least I think that's a funny term. For those of you that don't know what major units are stock numbered serialized vehicles that live in the sales inventory in your system. Major units is what we refer to those as. So we're going to talk about that first. Before we go into the sales and the CRM portion of the mobile application and sales. But let's pull Lightspeed back up onto the screen, and we're going to go up to sales. I'm going to go down to major unit inventory and bring up that list that you may be familiar with. The new, used, consigned, stock number, serialized vehicles that live in your sales inventory. And without going into a ton of detail, we know that we can use some filters at the top of the screen, like make, for example, to really drill into the list to find the unit that I'm looking for specifically. And once I find that unit, I can drill into the details, and it takes me into the record screen where things like stock number, year, make, model, price, and all the different attributes of the vehicle are visible to me on the desktop version. Well, the mobile application does something very similar. If I pull up that Lightspeed mobile application one more time, I press the major units button. And it gives me the access to the very same list. I can see all those stock numbered, serialized, new, used, consigned units on the mobile application. And I can click into the detail where it gives me all that extra context: stock number, year, make, model, price, even pictures if I want to see what the pictures of those vehicles look like. So maybe I've got a customer that's looking at the red version, is kind of interested in the silver version, but isn't sure. And I've got the red bike on the sales floor and it says, you know what, show me that silver bike. Well, I can pull up the mobile application and I can get access to photos from the Lightspeed desktop into the mobile application. I can say, Mr. Customer, what do you think of that silver one? Oh, I love it. Love the silver one. Looks beautiful. Let's take it. We hope, right? So we can take a look at those pictures. We can have that conversation with the customer, whether we're on the sales floor, the parking lot, even if I'm away from the business on a weekend that the business is closed. It gives me access to all that information as a salesperson in Lightspeed. And as we know, being mobile as a salesperson can be hugely beneficial in that process. So let's kind of move into the next aspect of sales, and that's managing deals, managing follow-ups, managing those CRM related functionality. And before we jump into that, I want to preface with my handy PowerPoint here and talk about deal processing and CRM. We're going to go through that a little bit at a high level from the desktop, but really, again, we're going to focus on the mobile application and how that works in that process. So let's go back into Lightspeed. I'm going to pull up sales. We're going to go into leads, quotes, and deals, and I'm just going to load a deal screen just to offer some context into what we'll speak about when it comes to the mobile application. We're going to take a look at that very same Harley-Davidson that we looked at a moment ago in major unit inventory as it relates to a sales deal. And let's go through the mobile experience therein. So we'll go back to the mobile app. I then press my follow-ups button. So maybe I'm a salesperson. I want to see what my daily calendar looks like. Who do I need to call? Who do I need to email? Who do I need to pick up or deliver to? If I press that follow-ups button, it gives me a view of today's calendar and I can see all of my appointments and I can manage those appointments too. Manage the phone calls, manage the emails and text messages that I need to send out. And I can mark them complete, which allows me to manage what I need to do from a personal level, but also I might have management looking over my shoulder to make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And with the mobile app, it makes that very easy to make sure my manager's happy with what I'm doing. But not only that, if I want to access the deals list, I can press the deals button and get access to that same list of sales deals that we saw on the desktop of Lightspeed a moment ago. All those open deals that I'm working or other salespeople are working. I can create a new lead from here as well. If I'm away from the business, if it's a Sunday afternoon and I'm at the track or at the marina or at the campground and I run into a customer who's interested in something that we have to sell, I can create a follow-up so that I can call that customer Monday morning and continue to work with them about something they were interested in. Or access existing deals, just like we have for the Harley Davidson, for example. See when the last time we spoke to the customer is, when the next time I've got an appointment with them is, pricing. If there's trade information on the deal, it's all visible from the mobile app. And I can also access documents. Which the beautiful thing about that is if I need to get a signature from a customer, whether it's a buyer's order, a trade appraisal form, a document in the sales process, I can access the entire list of forms from the mobile application. And I can press new. I can send that form to the customer via text or email, gets them electronic copies of the document where they can sign. Much like we saw in the service experience, they accept terms and conditions of electronic signature documents. They can review anything from trade appraisals to buyer's orders to bank contracts, if that's applicable in your business. Press the sign button, sign any kind of documentation with their finger, even co-buyer signatures, download a copy of that right to their device. And then we can also manage the texting and the customer experience as well. The communications tab inside the deal, very similar to what we saw on the service side. So emails and text messages that we've sent out of the system to update the customer, to get new information from the customer, to provide them context to the sales experience. Any responses from that customer come back into the desktop version of Lightspeed, but also the mobile application, so we can have a pertinent conversation and ultimately get them to the point of making that purchase, all from the mobile app. So pretty slick, pretty slick. So we're going to talk about a couple of other modules when it comes to Lightspeed, one of which you may be less familiar with. And if you haven't seen our rental experience before, we're going to introduce you to a little bit of rental today. We're going to go through the reservation experience in the mobile application. We're going to speak a little bit to it on the desktop as well, just offer some context. And if you do want more information about anything we've talked about, parts, service, sales, CRM, or rental, we do have Wednesday webinars available on our website that offer more context to those specific functions. Even there's some mobile application details in them as well. But let's go into the reservation experience. And what I've done is I've pressed rental, I've gone into reservations, and it brings up a list of all the open reservations that currently exist in my rental department in Lightspeed. And we're going to drill into Mr. Jeremy McGrath's reservation and show you how the mobile application really will provide a seamless experience for you as a Lightspeed user, away again, so you can be away from the desktop. You don't have to be married to your computer all the time. Provide a nice experience for your customer as well. And let's pull up that mobile application and show you what it does in rental. So reservations at the bottom of the mobile app, if I press that button, it brings up a list of all the open reservations that currently live in Lightspeed. It's the same list that we saw just a moment ago on the desktop. It's just scaled down again to fit the mobile device. So I press reservations and it brings up all those reservations. It's the same list we saw a moment ago. I can access Mr. Jeremy McGrath, for example, and it shows me things like start dates, end dates, if it's applicable. When was the last time we communicated in terms of follow-ups and appointments? Are there any photos or electronic signed documentation that I need to be aware of? I can see all of those from the mobile application as well. And one of the things that I like to speak to when it comes to the mobile app and reservations is, if you can imagine, you've got the reservation already built. Customers now taking delivery of the cart or the trailer or the RV or the boat or whatever it is that they're renting. And now you're out in the parking lot or at the marina or the campground delivering that vehicle to the customer. And maybe you want to do a walk around. So we're going not only around the vehicle to introduce them and how to use it, but we're also checking the condition of that vehicle as we're walking around it. Now, the neat thing about the mobile app is I can take pictures, the befores and the afters. Now, what did the condition of the vehicle look like before it left my business, and what does it look like when it came back? So we can take pictures of those things to really document the condition, to really kind of make sure that we're covered in the event that there's some damage that gets incurred. And I can also use the mobile application to take pictures of IDs or anything that's applicable in that experience. And in doing so, those land as attachments on the reservation experience as well. Now, any of the forms in the rental experience, whether we're talking about statements in the rental experience or we're talking about contracts or rental agreements, just like we've seen in the service and sales experience, those are accessible from the mobile app as well. And if I want to send a copy of that to the customer for a signature or just a review, I can get a copy of the rental agreement, statements, send it over to the customer via e-signature or just as an email. Get a copy of that signed if necessary, signed with their finger from the customer standpoint, and then they can download a copy of that right to their device as well. So it really allows them, for you as the rental clerk or managing the rental experience, to provide a seamless experience to the customer. That communication panel is also available in the rental experience, which is accessible from the mobile application as well. And much like we've seen thus far in all of the other departments, there's still a mobile piece that coincides. So the next thing we're going to talk about in terms of departments is accounting. And yes, we didn't forget about the accounting department. There is an accounting piece that lives in the mobile application as well. Our DOC report, our daily operating control report, is visible from the mobile app. So those business owners, those accountants that are, if they're away from the business, that they want to kind of get a finger on the pulse of the business for the day. If they're away and they can't stand it, they've got to look. You can pull up your mobile application and you can get access to some of the reporting details therein. And let's go back into Lightspeed and speak about the daily operating control report, and then I'll show you what the mobile experience looks like there. So under General Ledger and Reports is our daily operating control report, which is going to show by department, new unit sales, used unit sales, service, parts and accessories, F&I, even rental. Shows what your current and previous year targets are for revenue. Shows a lot of information about what's going on in real time in your business as it relates to the particular month and fiscal year that you're looking at. And that same visual not only is available on the desktop, but it's available from the mobile app as well. If I press that doc report button on the mobile application, it'll take me into the same information where if I can't stand it, I've got to see what the parts department's doing for the day. I can pull up that information and get a finger on the pulse of my business, even if I'm away from the business. So as you can see, there's a lot of different access to the system from the mobile device. Again, it's all permission protected. To say that technicians are going to have access to your daily operating control report, chances are that's not the case. Based on their permissions in the desktop, same permissions carry over to the mobile application. And it just provides everybody a mobile experience in Lightspeed, expediting the process for those of you that work in the business, and also increasing the customer satisfaction as they work with you. So some of the things we've talked about is just the basics of the mobile application. Where do we get it? How does it work? Works again in Apple or Android devices, tablets or cell phones. Your Apple App Store, your Google Play Store is where you can get it. Parts inventory management are some of the things we talked about. Repair order and technician access, sales inventory, deal processing and CRM, as well as reservation and the daily operating control report. So we're hopefully provided you a good introduction of what our mobile application is capable of, and we hope you found some value in it. And we'll give it a try in your business and see if it's something that works for you. So we appreciate you taking a look at it with us today.
And I think, Brian, we will give you, Brian, a chance to take a breath, because that was fantastic, Brian. Thank you for covering everything that the mobile app does in so many different departments. I think a lot of people think that there's only one person at the dealership that could use it, but your demo today and the webinar absolutely showed how all the departments can use that. And we've gotten a lot of great questions, so thank you for everybody for your engagement. Just one of those I thought maybe we could address too, Brian. People are wondering about the cost of the mobile app, or if they can log into the mobile app and the desktop at the same time.
Great question. And yes, that's something I probably should have mentioned.
I don't think you had time, Brian. You had plenty of other things.
The cost of the mobile app, you're going to love this. It's free. So mobile app is completely free. And I think that's something I should have mentioned. That's pretty great. It's the best price at all in the world, isn't it? Free. And the other thing too, is it does not use a user license. And that might be a foreign term to some of you that are watching this, but a user license, if you can imagine, folks that have access to your Lightspeed desktop version, there's a dollar tag attached to every license for logins in the desktop. That's not the case with the mobile application. So you could be logged into the mobile application and the desktop, and by logging into the mobile app, it is not using up one of those user licenses. So the app is free and access to the app is free. Best price of all.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I think that's a big thing that people get excited about. It's a way to actually add like their service techs or salespeople without having to really have that additional Lightspeed user license. So that's fantastic. Well, I know our panelists, Jason and Jay, have been madly typing away and answering questions. I'm just kind of skimming some of those right now too. I don't know if Jay or Jason, if there's anything that was maybe came up more than once that you think we could address with the whole group. If you guys want to even just let us know if there's one of those.
Yeah, so I did see bin location change through the app, through parts quite a bit, and price change. And that's something that that has been sent to the development team as of now. So that is something that has been requested quite a bit. And I actually think that's a great idea.
Yeah, good point, Jason, too. I think what people were looking for is in the mobile app, can they make some of those changes directly with the mobile app, which is not a feature that we currently have, but love to get these suggestions from our dealers, because we know what the more we add to the product, the better it is for you to use it as well. Great point. I'm just skimming some other ones. I don't know if there's some other common ones that are in there. We could address one or two of those too, Brian, if you've even looked at those. Lots of questions. I mean, and the great news is all the questions that were submitted today, we will follow up again with a printout today with some of those details for you. And what I'd really encourage you to is make sure you've signed up for next Wednesday's technical mobile app webinar, because we'll dig into a lot of the questions that came in today in even more detail and can address those as well. Any other general ones out there that you think we should talk to?
There's one out there that I've had this question a few times regarding time clock access. So just simply not only clocking in as a technician to the jobs, but in general, clocking into the time clock, and then geofencing. So we have discussed that. That is kind of on the roadmap for the future. At this point, I don't have a definitive time as to when that will be implemented, but it is something that's being discussed on the roadmap and development. I would love to see it. We've had a lot of questions about that. I can definitely see some value to it, but certainly appreciate the question, and stay tuned. It's coming at some point in the future.
Excellent. Good. Well, I want to just thank Brian again for an awesome presentation on the Lightspeed mobile app. And thank you to everybody for attending. We hope that you learned a lot about our mobile app today. And as I encourage you to make sure you register for next week's to dig into more of the technical, and all of you will receive a follow-up email with the link to today's presentation, the Q&A, and just even the PowerPoint from the presentation today. So thanks everybody and have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.